Hey, what's up? This is Del Jones from the band PunkBordello, and you are watching the PunkBordello podcast. I want to thank you for being here, and I also want to mention that the next song that we release is called Hotter. It releases on all streaming platforms May 6th of 2025, and you can find that early before release for $5 on Bandcamp. You can listen to it about 3 times before you'll hit a paywall. But that's just fair game. If you want to see it and download it before it releases, you can give us $5 or whatever you want to support the podcast, to support us as a band. And then you can also do the same with the next release, Take the L, which normally would be like June 16th. And that one would be $10 or pay what you want whenever or whatever you want to throw our way. But we want to thank you for being here, listening to the local underground artists, the heart of our city, our country. And when we sit down with this next guest, I really hope you enjoy it. Share it on your socials, help us grow. We have some really killer guests that are going to be coming up, and I'm really excited to do this podcast. So thanks everybody for watching. Keep doing that shit Chicago style, you know what I'm saying? All right.
Heyo.
It never gets easier.
You did it well. I think you did it well. You had a great intro. The song was bumpy. I was like in the backstage, like, yeah.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, it's good vibe.
I appreciate it. That's the hardest part of it. Some might say, well, you can't listen. I don't want to hear it. It's
Hey, at least you did. At least you didn't hit it with the "What's up, guys? It's back with another video."
I can't stand that shit, man. I really cannot stand that shit. Well, anyway, today our guest is Harley Omega. Welcome, Harley.
Thank you for having me.
Of course. So I got like a brief crash course of your music. I guess that's your most recent release, and then one that you're about to release, which is good. I recommend
Thank
anybody
you.
listening to this podcast to definitely give me some like unreleased stuff, because as I keep going through the podcast, I rack up so much content, and I don't want to necessarily just release it all at once and kind of do all my guests the disservice of like putting too much out and overwhelming anybody who's listening. So I've done a couple that are I did this one right after, and then now I'm trying to like space it out a little bit to give everybody like kind of like an equal kind of like platform, because we do have some interesting conversations on this podcast, and I think it all try not to let it get watered down, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, no, absolutely. That's why I was like super hyped to come on here too, also too, because it's like we coexist in the same scene. And there's so much interesting conversation and movement specifically within the Chicago scene when it comes to like alt and punk.
Yeah.
So it's really cool to see you kind of shining a light on that.
Yeah, well, see, the thing is that a lot of people don't realize that Chicago is kind of the unsung city of punk, where like punk
Mm-hmm.
was fucking deep seated and deep rooted, like going all the way back to like 77, 76.
Yeah,
Same time
absolutely.
as everywhere else, but Chicago never really got that kind of, like, you have like your popular bands that like
Mm,
fucking your Fall Out Boy, your Alkaline Trio, your and then Legend, Smashing Pumpkins, Chicago. Obviously we have like, the list goes fucking on and on and on with like Chicago, but like it's kind of just focused more on like drill and the trap scene, and
mm-hmm.
that seems to be that, and EDM seems to be what's like popping out more in Chicago. So like I wanted to kind of reach everybody and build some sense of community, because I don't just like one kind of music. I feel like
Hmm.
if you're a musician, you have to kind of see the fluidity of life and how everything is a fucking gray area. You know what
Right, and it all feeds into each other, right? Because it's like we're also the home of house music. We're the like one of the pioneer cities of industrial, and it's like
The
all
thing
those things fuse into each other, right? You
the
know?
the funniest thing about Chicago is, like, anytime there's just, like, a random fucking, like, house beat playing anywhere, everybody is just fine with it. They're like, "Yeah."
Yep, yep.
And it's funny because that will happen, like, it'll just pop out of
Mhm.
nowhere, like, it could be, I don't know, some crackhead with, like, a fucking, like, blasting some house music on a fucking on a JBL, like, 6
Yeah,
or
yeah.
whatever.
I feel like if you're Chicagoan, you just like house. You're just used
Yeah.
to it, you know?
Yeah,
Yeah.
and it's like it's the coolest thing about Chicago, because there is so many beautiful aspects about Chicago. That brings me like,
Mhm.
it brings me to a new point. So the
Mm.
song that I was just talking about in the intro, "Take the L," is literally kind of the code for taking the L,
Mm.
because, like, so Chicago Style I wrote while I was, like, taking the train around through the loop. I used to be a barista at a hotel that will not be named because they don't deserve it. But, yeah, fucking I was taking the train in the loop, and then I saw, like, the Sears Tower in the distance, and it's just, like, one of those beautiful views about it, and it's like, yeah, this life fucking sucks, and at the time I was homeless, like, just kind of,
Mm.
so, like, it's like everybody's we just in this bitch trying to make it, you know what I mean? Just
Yeah,
trying to, like,
yeah.
make it, and the funniest thing about, making it in Chicago oftentimes feels like it's making it is getting out of Chicago,
Mm.
um, because cost of living is so fucking expensive.
Yeah.
Like,
And that's what's crazy too is we're not even close to, like, New York or LA,
yeah,
which is preposterous for me to think of, especially since they are creative cities. I just had a homie who moved back to Chicago from LA,
right.
excuse me, because he, like, tried out the whole, doing it in LA thing for a couple of years, and, he was, like, making more money than I make, and still just couldn't sustain himself out there. It's crazy.
And the thing is what people don't realize about, like, California is, I mean, at least baseline, this is, like, going off of, like, a 20, what, I wanna say, like, 18, 19 metric, because this is when
Mm.
the first time I went out to LA. Everything at the time I was living in Austin, Texas, everything
Mhm.
was double. A bag
Mm.
of chips, twice as much.
Mm.
If it's 250 in Austin, it's $5 in LA. You know what I
Mm.
mean? Like, just as a fucking baseline, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? If
Yeah.
it's and it kinda is wild because I saw, just, like, through the grapevine, people that I hear got a job here, got a job there. Like, they go and they're making, $100,000 a year in California, but it actually ends up only equating to, like, $50,000 a year anywhere else,
Mm.
which
Mm.
is like, it's,
Yeah.
yeah,
It's crazy, but
it's
that's
fucking
why I'm like,
preposterous.
yeah, I'm so convinced though that Chicago is slowly re-becoming the city to make it in again, because it's just like there's we don't get that competitive environment that I think like New York and LA can get. And then also too, like you can be underground if you want to, but if you want to be industry's here in the city. I mean, for a
Yeah,
while it wasn't. But at least like as I've noticed as of late, it's here now.
yeah,
So like there's a lot of opportunities to get tapped in, plugged in. I've had some crazy interactions just even over the past year alone.
yeah,
Where it's like I feel like this is such a good city to be an artist in at the moment,
yeah.
especially just compared to like how crazy it is, like how much, we struggle here and there already doing the job that we do. But I
Yeah.
can only imagine in an ecosystem that isn't as supported, like how much harder that could be.
Yeah. Well, one of the things I say in Take the L is that Chicago itself is like a microcosm of life. You know what I mean? It's like
Mm,
you got the
mm.
wildest motherfuckers, like fucking like
Yeah, yeah,
fucking robbing a freight, like an entire like fucking city block full of people fucking
yeah,
like
yeah.
robbing a freight train because it stopped. You're just like, I gotta do TV. Like, what the you got fucking, you know what I
Oh
mean?
my
Like
god.
you got just the other day I seen there was like a street takeover and I
Mm.
just like I see shit like that and it's like I wouldn't be caught anywhere near that shit, don't get me wrong. But like I love my city, bro. Like
Were you here during like 2020, like pandemic era, like 2021?
no, I was in Austin then.
Oh, okay. They
So
were
I grew
the
up
the looters
in
here
the
in
area.
Chicago. Oh, okay, yeah. They were on wild energy. I mean, they had like my mom works downtown, like near Mac Mile, and like she was telling me how they would like get out of it, they would get rent a U-Haul, then like pull up with specific surgical gear to like remove the windows and doors from like Burberry and just charge it. And like whenever they come through her store, it's like strategic, like almost like it's in a freaking anime, like how they just like line through. It's absurd. So like yeah, it's really funny where yeah, there is some truth of like there are drills quite often in the city. There's some wild stuff, but
Yeah.
at the same time, I feel like sometimes people almost like what's the word? Not like glamorize Chicago in that way, but
Yeah.
almost like fantasize like fantasize about it like, oh, it's this
You go
crazy chaotic city.
you go anywhere else and like they people like, "Oh, you're from Chicago?" It's like
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
uh,
yeah.
I mean, but at the same time, like, I think about the most Chicago, um, one of the most Chicago people that I know. He like puts hot jardinera on everything. He like identifies by the sports teams and
Mhm.
fucking like that like kind of classic representation of Chicago. Uh,
Mhm.
fucking he told me about how many like he does whatever he can to stay in the city because he loves it. It's his home, you know
Mhm.
what I mean? But he tells me how many times he's been robbed, how many times he's been fucking he's been carjacked, he's been fucking this, he's
Mm.
been that, he's been stabbed. Fucking like I'm
Mm.
like, whoa, bro, that is shit. I mean, that's
That's
also Chicago
crazy.
as fuck. Like you endure a lot just kind of I mean, sometimes
Yeah.
that shit be happening to you, like
Yeah, I mean, that's the duality of the city, right? Because it was like I grew up in the South Side, so I grew up in like mixture of Bronzeville, Hyde Park, South suburbs, and I went to Latin as a kid, and so like Latin is like a really affluent private school here in the city.
Mhm,
So it would be wild where it was like my dad had a great job, like he was a pretty affluent. I'd say he was part of the middle class at the time, and like he would get like his car radio stolen all the time or whatever. And then
yeah,
I go to school and I'm like hanging out with kids that have like Pritzker money and like seeing some of my friends would have like elevators in their house, like literally.
yeah,
And so it's just like seeing both sides of Chicago at
yeah,
the same time coming up was really fascinating that way, where it was like I was greeted with, I think, what people expect Chicago to be, and
uh-huh,
then at the same time there's this whole other side of the city that like if you don't even know what like Wicker Park is, you're not
uh-huh,
even gonna realize that it's here.
yeah, yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
fucking I probably belong to the former because 'cause I've just been poor my whole life, you know what
Yeah,
I mean?
yeah, yeah. No, I get you. I get you. It's weird having that window in, you know?
Yeah.
But at the same time it's nice because nowadays like rich people shit doesn't phase me, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Somebody
Yeah.
is just so clearly out of touch with how
Mhm.
the other
Mhm.
side lives. I know exactly what you're talking about. I mean, see, my whole thing in life here is I'm just focused on the fucking music. You know what I mean? If I
Mm.
in the past, like I wanted to do anything to like tour and do that whole bit, which is why I moved to Austin. And then I kind of realized that
Mm.
it's the same everywhere. And not only that, I did try to start this podcast while I was in
Mm.
Austin, Texas. I mean, I talked about it before, but I'll say it again. And when I tried to start it out there, it was really difficult to source guests. It was like,
Mm.
you know, really like fucking like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
No bites, absolutely zero
Dang, really?
but like, you know, it's wild because after basically what had happened is like life happened and I ended up my only option ended up being to go on the road, right?
Mm.
And I didn't know what
Mm.
to do during that period in my life, so I had to keep staying on the road, and that led to me being like just screwed over because I was kind of in the wrong position from the
Right.
start. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah.
And I mean, I learned what I needed to know to do for my own music, which
Mhm.
is wonderful, but now that I've kind of seen that side of things and how unforgiving the world and the industry can
Mm.
and it can be and is,
Yeah.
um,
Yeah.
I've I've learned to keep my circle small for you know all intents and purposes. And at this
Mhm.
point right now, I moved out of Chicago, and it was kind of a very like I mean, it was very poetic. It was a whole fucking like
Mm.
I mean, there's a reason I'm doing a whole like concept album about like that whole time um, when I had to kind of crawl around Chicago.
Right.
You know
Yeah.
what I mean?
Yeah.
And now I'm outside of that, and I've stepped away from that, and I'm just focusing on the record.
Mm.
And I mean, I'm just boring into it. I'm just digging in
Mm.
because I mean, in order to book quality gigs, like the leverage in this business, unfortunately, is social media.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
and the thing is like I don't like inauthentic content, and I don't like being
Mm.
forced to be a fucking puppet show. You know what I mean? And
Yeah. Absolutely.
I saw this TikTok yesterday that was like, "Oh, we just want fucking TikTok memes and TikTok meme songs." And it's like, yeah, and that's in a way that's how they're trying to take our power away.
Mm.
Because
Absolutely. Yeah.
you could I mean, if you think about, you know, what it means to be able to articulate emotions and present it in a song that somebody listens to on repeat and you know kind of it just you know latches onto if you're able to
Mhm.
harness that emotional connection through language through music.
Mhm.
I believe that it's important to understand the responsibility of that,
Yeah. I
you
was
know.
just having this conversation with my girlfriend the other day, because she's not really like in these types of scenes or like in that sort of world of like punk and all. And like I'm starting to realize why there was a level of gatekeeping with like goth culture, punk culture, like emo, all that stuff, because now, especially on the internet, it's kind of like more so a costume.
Yeah,
Like I started the conversation by saying like I could blow up in a month if I just ditched everything I cared about. It did exactly what I know the algorithm wants. Like I have the look, I could
yeah,
just run it, right? Run those
yeah,
numbers, but it's disingenuous. And it's like now I'm seeing that that gatekeeping was there not to create exclusivity or to like kick people out, but more so to like kind of keep that commercialization out of it, because
yeah,
when it seeps in, which it kind of has with all these genres, and like even with hip hop too, you know, you get a need for Kendrick Lamar to go at Drake the way he did. Like it's
yeah,
those types of things don't happen with when something is kept healthy by the people who foster the culture. So it's definitely like something I've noticed in punk and emo and hip hop,
yeah,
and a lot of these kind of, I guess, genres of music that are built to represent smaller groups of people.
yeah.
Um, and it's wild to see, especially for us, because we're in that lane of music, so we're trying to do it the authentic, we're trying to do it the like legit way. I
Yeah.
feel like we're doing it clean, and they're like out there getting the dirty money, and
And
it's
see,
just
the
like
thing
it's so ah
that brings me to a very like a wonderful point I wanted to get to
yeah.
on the podcast, and that is that you have two options, and one option becomes a slew of other options, right? The other option is like to I mean, try to take shortcuts, try
Hmm.
to, you know what I mean, see what you can get out of people and look at every interaction that you have in a predatory kind of it's all about me kind of fashion, right? There's one way to
Hmm.
approach it, which is usually how the industry moves. That's why it's so greasy, right? But then
Right.
there's the other approach, and it's the long way. It's the hard way. It's having integrity, trying to always, you know, fucking have a good relationship with every sound guy at every venue. Try
Hmm.
to have a good relationship with every fan that comes up to you and, you know,
Hmm.
gives you the reward of like offering some opportunity to remember you, whether it's a picture, a
Hmm.
fucking autograph. It always touches me because I get imposter syndrome anytime somebody asks me for a fucking autograph. I'm like,
Yeah, yeah. I had to give my first autograph as Harley Omega, like I think it was like last month or so.
uh,
I was playing Oz release show with my other band Rain
uh,
Garden, and I'm on one of Oz new songs, big fan.
yeah.
And somebody brought the vinyl, and they were having the band sign it, and then they like went up to me and they're like, "Can you sign my vinyl?" And I was just like, "Huh? What?"
Like,
It
like,
was really
what?
weird when that
Why do you want
happened,
me to
where I've
sign it?
been
I'm a fucking
recognized.
loser, dude.
Yeah, or it's like, I've been recognized for being in Rain Garden before, like, on the street. I've, like, mentioned the band, and they're like, "Oh, I know that band," and I'm just like, "Mhm, hmm, okay, okay, wow." It never really, like, hits
Yeah,
properly.
yeah, I feel you.
But, I mean, they're definitely, I'd say, like, to anybody out there, and even you too, if it, like, provides faith, it's like, the algorithms and all that stuff is there, and there are people that are kind of like abusing it and doing what works, but at the same time an algorithm is just numbers and mathematical equations. Anybody can
It
use it,
doesn't
so it's
it
like,
doesn't translate to people showing up to shows, you know what I mean?
which is the hard part. So it's like you got to figure out a way to play around the algorithm. So like one thing that I'm trying to do is I like hiding puzzles in a lot of the stuff that I post, or like I like making it so that you have to physically talk to me or interact with me to actually get out the thing that you want to get out. Like even on some aspects of like the merch that I'm planning and stuff like that, there's going to be an aspect of people participating in literally being the social media.
Mhm,
So it's a way to kind of like, sure, use the tools, but force people to engage with it. Cause that's what I'm realizing is it's like,
mhm,
it's so easy to detach, be behind a screen, scroll through Instagram and just kind of soak it in and not really process it. But if you
yeah,
have to actually take it off Instagram, if you actually have to interact with it, it stays a little bit more. And like the artists that I've had to interact with, they stay a little bit more.
yeah,
And it can work, but it just unfortunately takes extra work, you know?
yeah. You know, see, the thing is like I've been, you know, trying to go at this game since fucking at least steadily and since like 2018, I guess when you could say when I released my first album. And you know, it's okay. It's kind of like fucked up
Yeah.
from the start because like the album artwork got so corrupted just translating a file
Mm,
when I uploaded it to the distributor. They thought it
for
did not.
real.
It looked like crystal clear when I fucking when I you know finished the image and everything.
Right, right.
Um, but from that moment, it was just like, ah, fuck, this is not the record. You know what I mean? And then so, you know, now it comes to this one, and I feel like I've been through everything I need to go through to kind of like be right here. So, I mean,
Mm.
I don't know if you know how I got onto that. Yeah, the social media, like,
Yeah, yeah.
I did like 10 music videos, and it was hell to make all of them, because I
Oh,
did everything
yeah.
myself on it and,
That's
paid
that's
people to
awesome.
hold the
That
camera.
yeah.
It
That's really
and
impressive. It's awesome.
it's like, because it's like, I it's okay. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
It what like, sonically, I like the music, but, like, even then, I wanted to, like, tune down, and so now,
Mm.
um, I've basically everything, I think I've got, like, fucking 23, 24 songs that are all just, like, in either D standard or drop C. So, fucking anyway, coming back to the social media, it's kinda
Oh, no,
this
trust me, we could get in the weeds about guitar playing too. That's
yeah.
definitely, like, a huge part of my work.
Yeah, no, and we will get to that because that brings me to your next release. But um, okay, about the social media, it just became so
Mhm.
much like content, and even back then when I was recording that album, it was so much content to put together, to schedule. And the thing is like, I don't know of a platform that is cheaper than Hootsuite, and that shit is expensive
Mm,
to
mm.
integrate all your social medias to make it
Right,
less time
right.
consuming to, like, post to all
Yeah,
of
to
them.
use a CRM. Yeah.
Exactly, sorry, yes. Fucking so, I mean, I that was kind of out of the question, and you have to cultivate community somehow. You have to actually, like, grab real people and, like, have conversations with them. So,
Mhm.
I mean, that's kind of why the big why for the podcast is literally just for the social media kind of aspect of it, because like it gives me a lot of content now. I have so much content that I have
Mhm.
to like pace it out just to be courteous to fucking everybody. So
Right,
you know what
right.
I mean? That's it's a good pivot from the opposite end of it. But it's just it's you have to make so much content, and it's only getting worse with AI, because now you
Yeah.
can like everybody has chat gpt, it's accessible to everybody. You can fucking the hashtag the it's getting more and more competitive in that aspect, and you have to really kind of like, I don't want to say think outside the box, but because that is technically what the box is now. You know what I
But
mean?
that's the thing, yeah, it's like I feel like though it's some of the stuff that ChatGPT creates is derivative, where it's like I think there's still something to like seeing through it, and you can almost tell when something is kind of co-created that way. And like there are some uses where like I'm not gonna lie, with the person I want to help with my marketing strategy with my release, he has some aspects of AI in his work. I'm not sure what. It has nothing to do with the creative output, which is good,
Uh,
thank God.
yeah,
But like just to at least read the algorithm,
yeah.
which is nice. But it's like at the same time, if you're having like Chat GPT like write your music summary or stuff like that, I don't know. There's something about the human touch or being subversive that
Mhm,
AI just can't do. Um, and when it comes to the work that we make, I think
mhm.
that's what's going to make it even cooler when it's like the subversiveness that a computer can't even think of. And it just makes you stand out even more. So it's kind of it is a double edged sword where you're right. There's more people now with more tools that they might not necessarily be able to properly utilize. But at the same time, it makes it easier in a way to stand out because there's all these bots. And it's
Yeah,
like you could
yeah.
just be different than the bots and you immediately pop out.
Yeah, and that's what's wild is like the direction. I kind of feel like where I'm at, where the record is at, where the live band is at, it's like now it's kind of starting to be our time, because I've always been like raw and authentic. Like, I mean, I was
Mhm.
insistent on my first record that I try to track drums, live drums for whatever fucking song I absolutely could, and I did do that mostly. And then a lot of the stuff that I released under that name, Del Jones,
Yeah.
is like metalcore, and I kind of divided them
Nice,
that way
nice.
because I want Punk Bordello to be like for Chicago, for you know punk house hip hop to like integrate the three worlds, but the Del Jones shit, that's just like my metalcore babies.
Mm.
It's just like because
Oh, that's so
you,
cool.
you
Definitely
know
off here. I'm gonna have to ask you more about your project.
yeah, absolutely, absolutely. But so the first song that I wanted to get into is the the first one you sent me, the one that's available
Y-
now. So
yeah, stolen hearts. Yeah.
okay, yeah, Stolen Hearts. That was such a like I mean, I just want to give you the floor to talk about it because
Mm,
it was you got so many different aspects of like a couple of different genres, and I like was really kind of I mean I was captivated, and I was like, you know what I mean? Like it was like a
hmm.
different experience. I was like,
Thank
what
you.
the fuck? Like it is kind of like stepping into like a different world. It was like a whole like ride and experience. And the other thing is like this one was shorter, but the where you're taking it, the demo that you showed me
Hmm.
is like you got that fucking is that a 7 string, 8 string that you got?
Yeah, yeah. I just copped a Legator Ghost 7, and it's like I'm such a metalhead, right?
Yeah.
And it really also too am in love with like this shoegaze metal hybrid that's like I think Deftones is one of like the earliest examples of it, but bands like Death Haven, who am I thinking of? My Boys Harp, like there's a lot of other emo bands. Bill
Mhm,
Murray kind of taps into this sometimes, but like
mhm.
that sound is just so deep and cool, and there's this marriage of brutality and prettiness, um and like that's just it's really really cool to see.
Yeah.
So that's what really inspired that.
So how does playing it live work? Do you have I like have you played any of the stuff out live yet?
Yeah, so Harley Omega has been a project that like I have been like kind of playing around for a while. And typically when I play it, it'll be me, um and I have my guitar. So typically, I have been playing a six string for it. I have the what's it? I have the Jim Root Telecaster. I'm like such a Slipknot fan,
Nice.
so I run that, and then I have a mixer. I have a MIDI controller. I'm running my tracks through Ableton.
Okay.
And then I'll typically bring something extra that's spicy. So like one thing I was doing for a while is I brought a drum machine, and I would either like play some live drums or use it to like do dramatic cues for some of my songs.
Okay.
Um, and like, so that kind of changes whatever that piece of gear is. And then I just dress up like a maniac.
You know what I
That's
respect
pretty
about
much the
that?
thing.
It's like it kind of
Yeah.
reminds me of like those old videos of like Trent Reznor, which I don't know like for all everybody born after the year 2000,
Hmm.
Trent Reznor of the band Nine Inch Nails. I mean, Nine Inch Nails was fucking huge in like the 90s. Like that was like
Yeah.
Chicago
Yeah.
didn't
Oh, absolutely.
if Chicago at that time, like obviously there was those, your typical like rock heads, and that was like a
Hmm.
different universe. But then there was the whole kind of like underground of industrial music that
Yeah. Yeah.
made up the majority because it also tied into house. So it's
Mm.
like, you know, I
It's so funny you mentioned that because that's actually the spark that like turbocharged this project to where I knew I was kind of industrial and I knew where I was going. And then last year I was a part of a music cohort with CCE in
yeah,
2112 Chicago, and I got to meet Martin Adkins, who's the drummer for Ministry, and like was one of like Trent Reznor's first producers and stuff. And so I got to see everybody go to the post punk industrial museum in Bridgeport. It's awesome. But I like got to see there, I got to be there, I got to breathe that air and meeting him. And I was like, wait a minute, this is the home. This is what I've been kind of like sonically trying to find in myself. And then once I realized that that was a part of the Chicago culture, a part of like my influences, Slipknot has directly referenced Ministry being like one of their main influences. So
Yeah.
that after that, my demos just started taking off. Like that's how
Yeah.
I've been really cooking.
Nice. Nice. That's wonderful. Yeah, no, I really enjoyed like how you married the sludginess with like that pretty melodic, like almost like Juice World kind of
Yeah,
sound.
yeah.
And I appreciate like I think one of the hardest things to accept about rock music to um a broader audience of people in today's time is like the fact that it gets looked upon as like corny and whitewashed. Yeah,
Right,
and
right.
I mean, that's unfortunately, and it's the solution is to put the soul back in it,
Yeah, yeah.
and so
And
that's kind
that's
of
why
the way.
we're seeing the renaissance we're seeing, right? We're seeing a
Yeah,
lot of black and brown artists like leaning back into it because we made this music, you know? It comes from us at the end of the day. You don't have Black Sabbath without the blues. You don't
yes,
have industrial without Afrobeat and house. You don't have punk without the merging of hip hop culture and stuff.
yeah,
It's like, it's all interwoven, which is like I think when we were coming up was something that people didn't really understand.
yeah,
But hopefully like I'm starting to see it kind of become more of a like a commonplace knowledge type thing.
right, yeah. So one of the things I want to get to, so how do you feel about, um, so I personally like I have been trying to not very hard, but I have been
Mhm.
trying to get get like a different kind of show booked, and the one thing that seems to be kind of in my way is the just kind of the over seeming it's like a over reliance on like cover and tribute bands. And
Mm, mm.
no shade to them because I've played in them. I played in tribute and cover acts before. I like playing covers live because I mean it's a good strategy to just keep people fucking engaged in hearing some shit. Um, but I'm kind of in the middle of like changing my approach uh in terms of a live setting anyway. But
Mhm.
the main thing is that I how do you feel about that? What do you run into
Mm.
in terms of trying to book performances and stuff like that? And
Yeah.
I mean just what do you how do you think it could be better?
I think that's a wonderful question. Especially like for my last stretch to be here time wise. So we're definitely doing a part two to this. But I think to answer this question, when it comes to tribute and cover bands, I have a weird relationship with it too. I think people like easy listening. People like to not be challenged by the music and the art that they see, even TV shows, right?
Mhm.
We see all the time movies and TV shows that are too challenging for the public that like they just kind of freak out about. And cover bands kind of scratch that easy background music itch. And it's something that I think is sometimes frustrating, but I've learned that I can't win those people over, right? I've had a couple of people ask me, they're like, what happens when people don't react well to your music? Because usually most people do, even if they don't like the style that I'm doing, they appreciate the artistry when they see me in person. And I always say it's like, at the end of the day, if you're immediately just turned off by me, that's fine. There's nothing I'm going to do to win you over. And for like any band or artist out there that's making weird stuff, don't try and win over people that just don't get it because you're going to keep trying and trying to do things that you think will work for them or that you think might bring in over all this crossover appeal. And really, you're just grabbing them for that song. You're grabbing them for that idea. They're not there for the rest of what you've got. They're listening to Sleep Token for the R&B, right? So it's
Yeah.
like, you know, you don't want that. You want somebody that's going to be there for all of it. So when I book, what I like to do is I like to be flexible. Harley Omega as a project has so much hip hop, has so much techno, has so much metal in it that like I've kind of operated in different scenes. So I
Uh-huh.
started off in the hip hop scene when I was in college and like the EDM scene. There was a lot of like dubstep DJs and stuff in my area. I went to school in Peoria, Illinois. And so like, there was a lot of you know that scene. And
Yeah.
so I was able to kind of sit there and exist there for a while. And then as I kind of evolved out of that, I started playing more so with bands and stuff like that. And then really the hyper pop EDM scene and the queercore scene has been really wonderful to me.
Mhm.
There's a lot of great artists like Mary Mary or Anne Helen Wells that are like very similar to me, that I found ground with, so I can play with them. But then also too, like now I'm starting to try and play more metal gigs, or like I got to play with Augers of Eden and Stockyard and Audio Side not too long ago. And so like it's cool to be able to exist in different lanes and play different types of shows. So that's how I'm kind of treating it right now, where it's like the second I pigeonhole myself, I'm going to be stuck. And then at the same time, my music's too weird to where there's only a handful of people that do something similar to me.
Yeah.
So it makes it hard to get typecast booked. So it does make it hard to get booked. I think absolutely people have to like really like my music to book me. But it makes it cool when I go out and I have the ability to book, or I have the ability to work with artists, because then it is able to kind of bring in all these new people in this new environment. So like really I kind of just like rep queercore, rep like black alt as
Mhm.
best as I can. And then you just find your people that way, and you find people from different scenes. There's a lot of scene politics in Chicago, unfortunately. And like
Yeah, but
there are
that's everything.
yeah, they're kind
That's
of
everywhere.
scattered.
Yeah,
Yeah,
there's
it's
definitely,
everywhere for sure.
and I definitely feel like one of the problems that I run into is just, I try to coexist in some way, shape, or form with everybody, because I feel like the only way that we can take our power back,
Hmm.
unfortunately, is
Yeah.
by fucking all, like, at least being together enough to say they want us divided.
Mhm,
So let's not
mhm.
give them that.
Exactly, exactly, right?
Let's kind of come to the understanding in some way, shape, or form that, for one thing, artistry needs to be protected.
Mhm,
And
mhm,
there is a little bit of a point to gatekeeping, as you said before,
mhm.
but that's only to maintain at the end of the day, the quality and the integrity of the art, you
Yeah,
know?
and the
Uh,
safety of the audience too, right? Like,
exactly,
people go
yes.
to raves because they want that safe space. They want to
Yeah,
kind of eject themselves from society for a couple hours. And they do so in a warehouse. It's like for the
exactly,
punk
yeah,
heads, for like the all ages punk shows, so that
yeah,
teenagers have a third space to like
yeah.
exist in, that they aren't getting kicked out of.
And that is a
Like,
huge problem as
yeah.
well in Chicago. Like, I feel like
Mhm.
shit has gotten, it's hit the fan a little bit more, because we've basically completely removed all third spaces from Chicago for kids. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? Where
yeah,
where the fuck are they gonna go? You know what I'm
yeah,
saying?
yeah.
Like, I remember not having shit to do or anywhere to go, and fucking, like, I was at least able to go fucking walk around at the mall or this, that, or the other thing. But
Mhm,
fucking, this is just kind of the world that we're moving into. So it's really important.
mhm.
It is kind of like a obligation of artists to continue to keep going, just for the simple base fact of, like, we need to have a place for them to go. We need to have a show
Yeah,
for them to experience. And hopefully, I also believe this personally, because it makes an impact in my life. What I write about has to have some sort of, like, truth to it.
mm,
Like, music is programming. So make sure that you are picking music that will fucking influence you to do something a little bit better in life.
yeah,
Even
Yeah.
if you know, some song, I mean, not every song I write is fucking serious. I mean, I write a lot of songs and shit. I just finished up putting vocals on a song called "Go Fuck Yourself." But that is really
That's
more
hard.
so just like, you know, for reserved for like moments in life when like you can't get through to somebody who is judging you for their own reasons type shit. You know what I
Mhm.
mean?
Yeah,
Every
absolutely. I
emotion
think
has
this
its
is
place and every song has its meaning, you know what I mean? But like
yeah.
just understanding the responsibility to yourself as a listener, like to
Mhm.
be mindful of what you listen to. This is why I don't listen to like any major label artists. Like fuck Green Day, fuck this, fuck that, fuck Beyonce, fuck Jay-Z. Like I'm not listening to none of that shit. I don't care anymore. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Um,
No,
I
that's real, but I'm hitting my time.
I
But
got you. The
we
moral
we
of the story
definitely
is
have
support
to
local.
like we
Support local
definitely have to
artists.
continue this conversation. Like I'm so into it. So off air, let's talk about doing a part two.
For sure, absolutely, we can do that. I'll let you get on to your meeting. Thank you, everybody, for watching the podcast.
Yes, thank you guys.
Yep.
Support local DIY. If you need to figure out where to go, DIY Chicago on Facebook is a great resource. Check them out. Make sure you follow bands, follow venues too. Venues will post good stuff. We're all out here. You just gotta do the work, unfortunately. But thank you so
Well,
much, Del. You're doing good
that's
stuff.
to do the work is a privilege and a gift.
Exactly,
All
exactly.
right,
But thank you, man. I'll
change your
definitely
mind,
I'll be
change
hitting
your
you
life.
up.
All right, take it easy, man.